Welcome to the Current Backloggers. I'm your host, Casey P. along with my good friend and co-host, Aaron C. We're here for another ranking of video game movies. We're trying to rank every video game movie. Today we have Double Dragon, released on November 4th, 1994, directed by James Yukich. And the writers, it gets a bit confusing here, because Paul Dini does a story, Neil Shusterman does a story, Michael Davis does a screenplay,
Oh my god!
and Peter Gould does a screenplay, which, as we talk here, without getting too far ahead of ourselves, might be why it's so convoluted and makes no sense, because that's a lot of people for what the story is.
Yeah, I did not realize it was that many people.
Yeah, I'm going to put the writers in every time. I went to put it, I was, I don't know, did I put this guy? I guess all of them are going
They're
in there.
I believe when I was reading about this movie that they had a lot of production issues, and they threw out the script a bunch of times and stuff like that, which is very you can tell
Yes.
because this movie is all over the place.
I should add, Paul Dini looks just like an older, heavier version of my friend Dave, which you guys will see here. And this movie is based off of the game Double Dragon, of course. First released in the arcade in 1987, and then on the NES, it was released in 1988, followed by a Game Boy version in 1990. And it was released on NES by Technosis, I should say. And
Is it Technosis?
yeah,
Interesting.
Technosis, yeah.
It's not how I would have pronounced it, but
I'm not gonna lie, I only know that because I've heard it so many times.
yeah, I would have said Technos.
Yeah, that's what I would have said if I didn't know.
Technosis.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, when I hear stuff and kind of gets absorbed in my brain.
Yeah.
Should we go over the actors and stuff now, or should we do that as the story unfolds here?
Let's go over some of the history, or I have a little bit more about the history of the game,
feel free.
actually. So in the movie, the gang that they fight is called the Mohawks, which we'll get into later. But in the game, it's called the Black Warriors gang. And I was like, of course it is.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why that's not in the movie. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, maybe in the 90s they could have pulled that off, but also like,
Yeah, I think so. They did
You
throw
know.
say midget, and
yeah,
probably just got banned off YouTube for you saying that.
yeah. But like, I was like, woo, okay, interesting. And yeah, that's all I really got for that. I mean, there's been multiple sequels to the game.
Yeah.
I've never played it.
Yeah, I played it on the NES and couldn't tell you anything besides it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. That's the base of what I remember, and this tries to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and not in a good way. Really not in a good way. The Double Dragon story, and this is the video games, but it's based on Billy and Jimmy Lee, who are twin brothers, which I didn't really get in the movie, but in the games they're twin brothers. I don't know. Did you think they look like twins? Because I didn't.
I knew they were going for twins, but I don't know how one is Asian and one's like the whitest guy in the world.
Yeah. So they're supposed to be twins, but they learn to fight on the cold, tough streets of their city, New Angeles.
New Angeles.
New Angeles, sorry.
Come on.
I keep saying the lost part, just so you know. But they have expert knowledge of martial arts combined with street smarts that has made them both formidable fighting machines. So that's what it's about. Mad Max was a big inspiration for Double Dragon.
Yeah. Which it shows we both recognize that, and neither of us are a fan of Mad Max, but even if you are, don't watch it for that reason. If you're a fan, you're going to be mad that they're going to be mad that they were inspired by it, because they try and do it, and even if you like Mad Max, they don't do it well. You can just tell that they were trying to be like it.
Yeah, no, they do not do it well. This movie, so box office for this movie made $4.2 million in its box office run, which is not good.
No.
That's terrible. And the budget for this movie was $7.8 million. It came out. So the movies that were top of the box office during this time were Stargate, which had 12 million its opening weekends. It's not really a big box office week when this debuted, so that even says that this movie wasn't high on the radar, or people weren't really looking forward to it, because there's not a lot out right now, or out during that time. Forrest Gump is out, but it's been out for a couple months.
Yeah.
So obviously that's not gonna. But Forrest Gump made more than this movie. Made more than Double Dragon in like its third month. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So in its opening weekend, Double Dragon made 1.3 million. Was released in 1,087 theaters, and it made about 1,200 per theater. So I'm not sure the ticket prices at that time, but sure they weren't crazy. But also you only made 1,200 per theater. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
So you're talking like the theater's probably empty, probably like 2 people in there watching Double Dragon.
Oh, I get 2 people watching Double Dragon.
Yes, sir. So yeah, that's the box office for that movie, and didn't do great.
Want to get into actors and characters here a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
So it's kind of weird that this movie at least didn't have some more attention to it, because there's a lot of actors and faces that you'll recognize even if you don't know the actor or actress's names.
Yeah.
Your main characters, played by Scott Wolf and Mark Dacascos, were Billy Lee and Jimmy Lee, respectively. And Scott Wolf at the time was a big 90s actor and was in Party of Five, and is a very recognizable face. Also looks like he would be related to Michael J. Fox.
Yeah,
so that also helps him out, even if you don't know who he is. Feel, hey, isn't that guy from Back to the Future?
Yeah.
Alyssa Milano, playing Marion. Doesn't have her last name on here, so we'll say Marion. And she was, I don't know if she was big in the 90s. I know she was relevant, and you have it? I see you looking.
Yeah.
Mine got cut off right there.
What she's been in? She's been in.
Or no, her last name in the movie.
Oh no, there is no. Yep, there's no last. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, it's cut off. What the heck? Hold on. I did have it. Move on. I'll get it.
Okay.
Keep going.
I guess I don't know how relevant she was at this time, but I know in present day she's kind of older and not as relevant now, and real fucking annoying about social issues, like real over the top.
Yeah.
But I think she would have been recognizable at this point, and she is very good looking, even though she doesn't show it in this movie with her awful haircut.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like the reverse of what we talked about with the Blessed one, where we're not into short hair. It's actually very similar, but and just not good at all.
Just not good. Like the Blessed one rocked it. She did not rock it. Her last name in the movie is, I don't even know how to pronounce this. Delario.
Delario. Okay.
It's Delario.
Marion Delario.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Sounds close.
Yeah. But she's in it, and even though she's annoying, she's good looking, especially for her age now. But the biggest one, I feel like, at this time would have been Robert Patrick playing Kogo Shoku, I think is what his name is in the movie.
Yeah.
Shogo. Yeah, Shogo. Kogo Shogo is what it is. And he, of course, is in Terminator and played the cop that was a T-1000. And I feel like...
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. You look at his, like... He's in the show Mayans, which is, I believe that's a spinoff of Sons of Anarchy, which is a very popular show. He's been in Bridge to Terabithia. That was a great movie. He plays the dad in that movie. Obviously, Terminator 2, Peacemaker, which is a new show. But yeah, he just has a good, like, IMDb. Like, he's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and so it's weird that this movie didn't have more attention just based off of that, and video game didn't have much pulled in, especially if it wasn't Mario or like your top ones.
Yeah.
So that part's not too surprising, but just having those names, I'm surprised didn't get more attention. And I guess we can talk about it as we get into it, but there's some stuff that is well done in this movie. So it's weird.
Yeah. It's not the worst thing, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna sit down and watch Double Dragon.
Not do double viewings.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the movie
Oh, I
starts.
had one more point.
I'll go
One more
for
point.
it.
This movie's Rotten Tomato score.
Oh yes.
Its critic average was 12%, which, as far as Rotten Tomatoes, we know that is rotten. And its user score was 26% for the audience. User audience.
Yeah. No, it makes sense that theirs a little higher.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes critics either really love something and audience hates it, or there's very rarely where they're equal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see from a critic standpoint why you would dislike this.
Yeah, I think this one's fair. I think usually critics ones I think are less trustworthy because I feel like they're so smug about things have to be like art to be good.
Yeah.
Which, we kind of talked about this movie off camera about how there's different grades of movie. Like this can be a fun action movie. It doesn't have to be like a deep story or even like an amazing action movie.
Yeah, and there were parts in this movie that I genuinely laughed at the cringy dialogue and the bad one-liners.
Oh yeah, I think it's worth watching for entertainment, but not for the reasons they were hoping. And I think there is some stuff that's well done, just not enough to classify as an actual good movie.
Yeah, it's just not to that level. But
Yeah.
if you go into it knowing that, you could get a good laugh and at least some entertainment.
Yeah. The movie starts, as it says on the screen, somewhere in China.
Yep.
It just says it big on the screen. And that's my first note. You got anything?
Basically what happens in the scene is there's kind of a war scene. Or not a fighting scene. I won't say war scene. But this random lady, well, we don't know that she's a lady yet, but there's this person in a suit just kind of killing people and looking for the double dragon, as we learn later. And she grabs it, takes off her helmet, and we realize it's a lady. And yeah, that's what I got.
All right. And then we see that Los Angeles, as you mentioned, we see that we are now in the year 2007, the future.
This was funny to me.
New Angeles, 2007, after the big quake. And this is, you see LA is really taking a downfall.
Oh, yeah. It's, California's on that big fault line. A lot of people, there's been movies made about it.
Yeah.
Quite a few. 10.0 is one that I can think of off the top of my head, but
oh yeah, there's so many. San Andreas.
Yeah, there's just so many because they're on that big fault line. So the big quake has happened in 2007.
You think they would have gave the quake a name so it didn't sound so fucking goofy?
Yeah, like why is it just the big quake?
But I guess when you start with somewhere in China and then lead up after that with New Angeles 2007, I think the only thing to follow is after the big quake.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I I agree. I think giving it a name would just throw us off. It'd be like, wait, why did they do somewhere in China and not give specifics and then name the quake something? So the big quake, we can imagine what happened. People dying, screaming.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to the future.
Next two things I had were two other kind of like cameos in it. Vanna White and Andy Dick, which these are another very well-known names at the time, so it's weird seeing all these people. And Andy Dick was extra weird. I'm not sure if you know who he is.
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay, he's a big-time comedian, especially at that time, and he was really funny. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's went crazy now, if he's just not relevant, or if I just kind of dropped off his humor. Maybe stayed the same. But it was weird because they just called him Andy Dick in the movie.
Oh.
And just rolled with it. And I was like, this movie's so fucking weird.
Yeah.
And that was the next two things I had.
The next thing I had was we meet the bad guy. Like, just dropped in. We meet him, like, off the top. Like, it's just new quake, bad guy. And he only has half of the double dragon.
And this is played by Robert Patrick. Right,
yeah.
this year. Okay.
And if you look at him now compared to this, you can tell that he has aged a lot.
And I would imagine it was probably this performance that did it. I'm joking. I know it's a long time period, but I wouldn't blame him if he aged 50 years after this performance.
Oh, yeah, I'd be so stressed.
I feel like some of it could be on the actors and delivery, but like I said, a lot of these actors are good and or well-known. I feel like something had to get lost in translation with the writing or the screenplay or something, because even good actors are fucking terrible in this. Like him, he's just
Yeah. So I thought of something while I was watching this because I feel like Robert Patrick was trying to be like Jim Carrey in this movie.
I could see that.
Like, and so I just thought a good recast for that character would have been Jim Carrey. Like, if we're doing it today, Jim Carrey would play this role.
That bleeds into one of the last movies we'll do on here.
Yeah, Sonic. Can't wait for that one. But yeah, I thought that I just felt like he reminded me of Jim Carrey, but wasn't. It was a little worse.
Yeah.
Really over the top, like his laugh and just everything about this character was so like weird.
Yeah.
So I thought, Jim Carrey in that role I think would do perfect.
No, I hear you. You got anything else there? I do. I just you have more than me.
Let's see. So yeah, bad guy has half of the double dragon, and then we go to a great karate fight. It's a tag team. There's this girl watching it, which I think is like the Lee brothers' like guardian, because I don't think she's related to them. As far as what I could tell from the movie, she's not related. She's just kind of their guardian / caretaker, because as we learn later, their father dies. And she's just watching the Lee brothers have a tag team karate fight. And also this girl has the other half of the double dragon. So that's what I got from that scene. They lose the fight, actually. It was an interesting fight. I don't really have notes about it. It was just a big karate scene.
Yeah, I can tell you most of the fighting was not just acted, but very poorly acted to the point where they were just not fake hitting him. They just straight up weren't hitting him most of the time.
Yeah.
It was real fucking bad. Pretty much all the fight scenes were just god-awful.
Yeah. And you would think that they could be better.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that you don't need good writing, you don't need good screenplay, you don't even need a big budget, just good choreographing, and that's all it is.
Choreograph properly, not like you could actually see where the punches are just pulled. Like I was like and this was not just one scene; it was every scene.
Oh, yeah.
There was one really bad at the end where I was just like, "Oh my gosh, that was so noticeable."
Yeah,
but yeah, that's a negative about the movie. Like if you're gonna do an action like movie, make sure there's action. That's good.
Yeah,
not just bad action.
A few positive things I'll say may bleed into some of the stuff you're talking about. I do think a lot of the explosions they do, I think, are on par with like top movies at that time. It's weird. There's like stuff mixed in that's like top tier, but it's in this fucking awful movie. I think some of that's really good. I think there's a couple songs that were fucking awesome in this. This is an awful name, but Dink by Green Mind was a fantastic song to play in this movie. I don't know if many people like it. I think not trying to be cool here. There's plenty of music I like that's very, very popular, but also there's a weird kind of music that I like that I don't think a lot of people care for.
Yeah.
And this one might be one of them, but check it out, see what you think. Let us know in the comments what you think about Dink, D-I-N-K, by Green Mind.
Yeah.
And I was going to throw a couple more positives. Why don't you talk here so they come back to me?
Yeah, positives. Let's see if I can think of one. Actually, there's a character later that I actually really liked. He's a member of the Mohawks. I didn't like him because he was like amazing. I liked him because how terrible he was, and I can get into that. That was a positive for me, and I'll talk about that once he appears.
Okay, I remember what I was going to say. I will add to that, and this is also kind of a negative leading into the positives here, is that some of the stuff in here is just unexcusable. Like the leader, the Mohawk guy, when you first see him, is you can clearly see where his head cuts off because clearly he has hair here. That's just straight up a hat that he's putting on with his giant fake mohawk, and it looks god awful and it's so glaring. And there's a lot of costume stuff like that in this that's just so bad.
Yeah.
And even the stuff that doesn't look bad is just so ripped out of other things. Like, I don't know his name, but the guy you're talking about, that the monstrous thing.
Yeah, I called him Bib Fortuna Jr.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He just ripped straight out of that.
Yeah.
Looks way worse on top of it.
Yeah.
So,
And if you guys don't know who Bib Fortuna is, he is Jabba the Hutt's assistant guy in Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
That kind of answers the door for Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Then he gets mind tricked by Luke, and then Jabba's all mad and calls him an idiot. But Bib Fortuna is that guy. So this guy kind of looked like Bib Fortuna, but like as the Hulk.
Or mixed with, ironically enough, Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, no, that would work too. It's it's a very interesting character, and he's actually later in the movie, but we'll get into him a little bit more.
I think call him interesting is pretty kind, but to each their own.
Yeah. But I made this point while we were watching it, and if you've watched our Halo episodes, this would be interesting. If Bib Fortuna Jr. was given the Quan Ha plotline, is Halo a better series?
You let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. Watch Double Dragon, look for Bib Fortuna Jr., watch him
It's
as a
hard to
character, and let us know. Would it be better if he was swapped for Quan Ha? I think so.
The positive I was going to get to, and so it's partly negative, but this movie's terrible. I'll be honest. I know I said partly negative. But the positive is that I think as bad as it is, I realize it sounded real harsh, but I think if I saw this as a kid, I think that I would have found it to be a lot of fun up until certain points. Like when that dude showed up, I think I would have been scared because there are certain characters like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watched Spawn, but the creepy fat black, he's not even black. The fat clown guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he gave me absolute nightmares, and I love Spawn, but it was hard to watch when I was watching that because he terrified me. Nightmare Before Christmas, I love that, but the dude that head turned around,
Oh, yeah.
he was terrifying. So I think this movie I think would have actually been a lot of fun, even though it's not well made. I think as a kid,
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, I think it'd be just a lot of
Some of the very bad jokes, which
Yeah.
I did laugh at, but because they're so
oh,
bad,
yeah.
and we'll get into those too. I have a few quotes down here from bad jokes, but I actually laughed at times.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is so bad that it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, and I think that stuff works as a kid because you don't think of criticizing things like that like we do. And it's weird though the actual small criticism I was going to give before I said the movie was terrible was even with saying that I think I would have enjoyed it as a kid. Besides my being terrified, I think there's this weird thing that I noticed that I don't think I, again, would notice as a kid, but it felt very 90s because it was. But at the same time, it was weird. It felt like a 90s movie that was made in the 80s somehow, which is weird, but I feel that's what it was. And then
And the setting is 2007.
yeah. And then it feels like definitely the Mad Max like we talked about, but I also feel like Cyberpunk, like any generic Cyberpunk, but Cyberpunk 2077, is that game?
Yes.
Obviously, like I said, they're not ripping that off because that thing didn't exist yet. So I'm
Right.
just saying for people watching, give me examples of what these things reminded me of.
Yeah.
Mad Max did exist, but not
Yeah.
Cyberpunk.
The vehicles in this look like Mad Max.
Oh, yeah.
All the cars.
Well, I'd say with the exception of their main car that was just ripped straight out of the Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah,
which
that
is
too.
the
Yeah.
second movie we watched in a row with Ghostbuster references, which is very odd because neither of them fit in.
Yeah, so weird. Like who would have thought? Like these movies are not even close to each other. They both have Ghostbusters
Yeah.
references. I don't know if it's the era, because obviously Ghostbusters was super popular during this time, and maybe Ghostbusters 2 came out close to this, because I think we looked at Ghostbusters and it was 1984.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's because all three of those things are nerdy, so I'm sure a lot of people intersect and want to like throw their things they like in there. But I just feel like neither of them fit in organically. I would get it if you're like, oh, I'm a Ghostbuster fan, I'm going to do this Easter egg or reference or whatever, but neither of them fit in there. Like, oh, that was smooth.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And I like Ghostbusters.
Oh, I love Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Like it's fantastic.
Mhm.
But the Ghostbusters reference in this does not work.
Yeah.
But so next, after this great tag team karate fight, not great. I gave it a 3 out of 10 overall.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. So there's a curfew in New Angeles, which I didn't exactly understand what was going on. So I guess there's a curfew at a certain time where the gangs can just do whatever. The Mohawks can run free. The cops don't stop them. They can beat anybody up. They can run rampant and destroy the city. Excuse me. And then I guess the cops just come out in the morning, fix it, and then... Excuse me again, sorry. And then they just go from there. Just their cycle.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Mohawks ran rampant again last night. Let's just fix it.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand that, or why it was relevant to the plot.
Uh-huh.
Like, it wasn't at all. But so yes, so our protagonists, the Lee brothers, are out after curfew, and they're driving around, and they see this girl. At least we think it's he thinks it's a girl, and he's like, "Oh, we gotta stop the car." So they stop the car, and the guy turns around and takes off a wig, and it is a Mohawk gang member.
Yeah, there's some weird line. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they stopped because he says something like, "You know this how I like him" or something, looking at the girl.
Yeah.
That's a fucking weird comment to make when you think a girl's broken down the road. Oh, hell yeah, let's get her.
Like, let's pull over real quick. Like, okay, I get it's after curfew, dude, but chill. That's still not okay. Yeah, that was really weird. And then there's just like a fight scene between the Mohawks and the Lee brothers, and then we get into a chase scene.
This is when Dink by Green Mine comes in during the fight scene. Chase scene. Yep.
And yeah, I put in this. It reminded me of a very off-brand version of Mad Max. And there's this funny line talking to a... I don't want to say funny. It was very cheesy. Talking to a Mohawk member while they're fighting. I forget which Lee brother said it, but he's like, "Hey, Broomhead, we're going to sweep the floor with your head."
Yeah, there's too many great lines like that in this movie. I'm sure we didn't catch all of them because there's so many good ones.
But I tried to list the ones that, kind of stood out to me, and yeah, so that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to miss them. They're not subtle at all, and they're fucking the best in the worst kind of way. There's just so many of them that I'm sure we didn't get notes for all of them. But yeah,
and I feel like to start the movie, it was like, oh, this is kind of like, but as it kept going, I was like, this is just bad.
Yeah, what was it, an hour and 45 minutes?
Too long. We paused
that's not
it.
even that long for a movie, but it just drag in.
Yeah. Ooh. But I think at the 40-minute mark or something, or maybe the hour mark, we checked, and it was like 40 minutes left, and we were like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Because I ran out of stuff for notes.
Yeah, there's a portion where I wasn't putting stuff. I was watching, but I was like, there's
nothing to put. Yeah. So, okay, there's the fight with Broomhead. The Lee brothers get away, and then we cut back to the bad guy. I didn't get his name. Did you get his name?
No.
Okay, well, bad guy. We'll just say he's the bad guy. The guy that was in Terminator.
Oh, yeah, that guy. I had his name. I didn't know that's who you're talking about. It is Kogo Shogo.
Kogo Shogo. So we're back to Kogo Shogo, and he's pretty upset with Mohawk guy, the leader, and he takes him down to a lab, and they start experimenting on him, and then the Kogo Shogo, what's his name?
Kogo Shogo?
Kogo Shogo.
Yeah, Kogo Shogo.
Kogo Shogo.
I had to go back and myself.
Prepares a mission to go get the other half of the Double Dragon.
Yeah.
That's what I got there, and do you have anything?
I have this random part here that they try to intersect a lot of weird stuff to, maybe it did work at the time, but it's just fucking weird to me now. They try to mix in like fake history. Like they talked about the gladiators versus the raiders. and like fake stuff like that. They talked about Madonna getting a divorce from Tom Arnold, and this happened in Old York, which is probably the least somehow less creative than New Angeles, just changing New York to Old York.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of weird things like that, so I put that in there.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was really weird. I just thought it was weird that it was set in 2007.
Yeah.
I think that aged very poorly if you're watching it today.
Yeah, you know what I think this movie could have copied off of and would have been very time relevant and probably would have helped a lot. I'm sure it would have got criticized for being kind of copy of it, but plenty of things did that. Would be the Karate Kid. I feel like you could do that,
yeah.
edit it a little bit, and you got yourself a movie.
Yeah, but the Karate Kid is great.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like
yeah.
the fight scenes, and I'm not sure the release date on the Karate
That's
Kid,
what I
but
was just looking at.
I believe it's 80s, maybe early 90s.
So the Karate Kid was 1984. So
Oh,
see, so they
gosh, yeah.
and they probably would have loved that. I'm sure the movie that people that made this movie probably loved the Karate Kid since they made.
Yeah, and I think the Karate Kid fight scenes are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And just the story, and yeah, I really like the Karate Kid, so that's a good point. Just
Yeah.
a little twisted Karate Kid, but executed absolutely terribly, and if they did it correctly, it could have been a good movie.
Like I said, I'm sure we got some criticism for clearly knocking it off, but there's been plenty of successful things that have knocked other things off. So
We were talking about Groundhog Day at one point.
mm-hmm.
I think earlier we were just talking about Groundhog Day outside of watching this.
Yeah.
But that has been made into a ton of different
Uh-huh.
spin-offs and stuff. So Happy Death Day was one. That was pretty much Groundhog Day, but murder.
I was gonna say it might not be a good example though.
Yeah, I mean that was just
I
an
know what you mean.
example.
Yeah.
But and then that second movie for that series is Out of Pocket. If you've seen it, it's a wild ride. I'll say that. Totally unexpected. But there's just plenty of movies that, or just episodes and shows that copy Groundhog Day. So that's just an example. But there's plenty of stuff. There were so many different movies that copied Star Wars.
No, yeah.
So that's another example. Like there's just so many. So even if you do copy something, if you do it well, you're probably not gonna get criticized too much. But yeah, my next point. Let's see. So the bad guy goes to the Lee brothers / I didn't get there. Do you know what their guardian or like the person that was like their guardian's name was?
No. Is it? I think it's Satora.
Satora.
So they kept saying that name, and it's hard to tell because all these people look so different now. But
Yeah.
it looks like that would be her. She aged.
Yeah, probably quite a bit
Yeah.
since '94.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, I forgot that guy's name again. The bad guy's name.
Kogo Shogo.
Kogo Shogo. Okay, so he goes to like their theater. I don't know. We didn't get really a background on the theater that they own, but they live in a theater, I'm assuming. I don't know if it's their house or what's going on there.
I think it's supposed to be the Chinese theater. It's like a very popular, it's like one of the most well-known theaters in LA because when they were doing that stupid boat tour on the water, they mentioned the Chinese theater. So I'm guessing that's where they're supposed to be. They didn't make it very clear that's what they were using, but I assume that that's what they were supposed to be doing.
Okay. Okay, we'll go if it's that. And so basically there's a talk about the double dragon and how he wants it, and she's like, no, you're not getting it. Also, I believe she gave it to one of the Lee brothers. I don't know if that's later in the movie or before this scene.
I remember that, but yeah, I don't know. It's all blending together.
But anyway, so she gives the double dragon to one of the brothers, and then a fight scene breaks out. The Lee brothers start to run away. It looked like a Ninja Warrior course to me. There was the little ramp and the net thing, and I was like, they're preparing for American Ninja Warrior. So props to them. I guess they're ninjas. So they're doing that. And then we see Mohawk Guy transformation into Bib Fortuna Jr.
Yep.
We talked about him earlier, and he's back. Does he have a mohawk in this look? I think he does.
Does he? I thought it was just the two very
hold on.
things of Star Wars.
I think we can look at it. I don't remember specifically if he had the mohawk, but
I don't think he did, but he is so terrible that I just tried not to look at him.
yeah, I'm trying to. I thought he did have the mohawk, so let's see. And I feel like I've seen this character in a meme, but maybe not. Yeah, typing in mohawk guy did not work.
Yeah, this movie's right up there with Mario as far as being hated and becoming kind of a meme. So it's definitely possible. The only difference is Mario is such a bigger property in general that it holds a lot more interest and everybody knows it more than they would Double Dragon.
Yeah, for sure. He does have a mohawk.
Okay.
So yeah, so mohawk guy is back. He's getting in a fight with the Lee brothers. They throw some bricks at mohawk guy. It's not a good fight scene.
Shocker.
It's really bad. And then we get a great line where I don't remember the lady's name again, but their guardian lady knocks Bib Fortuna Jr. into a net. And I don't remember which brother said this, but he's like, nothing but net.
Yeah.
And that was pretty funny.
There was two other great lines before that, too. The Lee brothers being sassy with each other, and then he's like, it's called martial arts, not martial science.
I didn't even catch that.
Oh, God. And then another great one was they knock your guy over, Mr. Mohawk Man, and then they attempt to slam his head in a case, like a briefcase.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're like, what a head case. And I'm like, holy shit. And then you might talk about this here in a second. Well, maybe you want to lead in with what T-1000 does to the theater. That is.
Oh, that lady.
Well, the guy, he lights on fire first.
Yeah. So he lights it on fire, and the blonde lady, who I have nominated for worst actor in the movie, and it's saying a lot because they're pretty much all pretty bad. She's like, "Is it hot in here?" Wait, did she say something else after that?
Yeah, she says, "Is it hot in here, or is it just me?"
Yeah. I didn't get the last part.
Yeah.
But it was really funny, but also so bad.
It's the other way around. That might be why I didn't have it. I didn't think it sounded right. Is it just me, or is it hot in here? And then the flames go up.
Yeah, okay, that's why. I had it in that order. So yeah, then the flames go up, and that, I don't even know what to say about that. Like, that was just... Okay, this lady's acting, too. Like, if you watch her face during scenes, I don't even know what faces she's making, but they're not faces you make when you're a background character.
Yeah, something I don't think we've talked about enough yet is how the beginning of this movie and certain points of this movie, the acting and the plot line and the dialogue is worse than an 80s porno and seems like it's directed that way.
Yeah.
And she looks like she would be out of one of those.
Oh, for sure.
I don't find her attractive now, but I feel like at the time, if you watch that, that would have been like...
Oh, she was probably like the Megan Fox of the time.
Which is weird, because I forgot we were watching a movie from the 90s, because I was like, I feel like at the time, if you're in the 80s, you would find her so attractive. She somehow, in the 90s, looked like she was from the 80s, but not like in a washed-up kind of way. It was just the style was so... I don't know what they were doing. They're in the future, and then somehow certain parts of it looked older than what they were currently shooting the movie in, which was odd.
Yeah, that's why I thought the setting of 2007 was just so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I get you were going for the future, but is that what you thought the future would look like? Because that is rough.
Yeah.
Like, really rough. Because it looks like the past. So, bad, just bad character design. And, yeah, that took me out of it.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is just terrible. Especially her character.
Yeah.
Just bad.
I only got a few more things. I know that there might be a good amount more you have, so feel free.
I don't have too much, but
okay.
So after that, basically, okay, this was a really weird scene. That bald guy, do you remember that? The other bald, there's a lot of bald guys, I guess, but they're like in this room, and there's a bunch of like gang members surrounding them, and this bald, weird alien-looking guy
Oh yeah.
is just talking to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the other bad guy, or the main bad guy, because I'm not gonna remember his name.
Kogo Shogo.
Yeah, Kogo Shogo. He's going to this place, I guess, to get reinforcements for his army to get the double dragon, and he just straight up chokes bald dome dude. That's what I called him. And the group of goons just starts chanting, and then they want to follow him after he chokes their leader.
Yeah.
That's what I got from that. This next scene I thought was funny. The Lee brothers are kind of sitting by the water arguing because they're like on the run and they don't know what to do. And I believe their guardian lady dies, which
Yeah.
she dies, I think, in the fight before. And they're arguing,
She
and
dies in the fire.
yeah, the
Yeah.
fire. And then Jimmy, I think. Jimmy chucks Billy's lunchbox into the water, and then their argument is just bad, but then they like resolve it and do their little handshake thing. And that's what I got for that. Yeah, it's that exactly. We're gonna start doing that regularly, every podcast. Maybe gotta get Casey on board. But yeah, so that's their cool handshake. This next scene I actually did not dislike. It was the boat scene, which isn't the next scene like in the movie, but the next scene that I have noted.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible aside from a couple things that made no sense and were pretty terrible.
Yeah. Okay, it was bad, but it wasn't like as bad as some of the other scenes.
Can I also add that you missed a key plot point right before the lunchbox was thrown, when I can't remember what's Lee brother is doing some hardcore work on a car. He is a car guy, and he pulls out what appears to be a muffler out of the fucking front of the car. And then he's like, yeah, grilled cheese engine, and then throws it on the ground. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck a grilled cheese engine is, and why he grabbed something that looked like a muffler out of the front and called it an engine, but I'll roll with that, I guess.
Yeah, if anyone knows what a grilled cheese engine is, let us know in the comments.
But feel free to continue the boat scene.
Yeah, okay. So after grilled cheese engine, lunchbox being thrown, anger, resolving the conflict, they they're talking about how curfew's in a couple hours. You know, they got time. But the Mohawks and the gangs and the white-faced people are they're like, we don't care about curfew. And they attack the Lee brothers. And the Lee brothers, they fight. Typical fight scene in the movie that's bad. And then they get in this boat. They fly out of the, like, shed that's on the water.
Yeah.
And they knock two guys into the water. And then the bad guys somehow just have boats.
Yeah, jet skis that appear to come off the land at full speed into the water. That's what one of the parts I was talking about that was real stupid.
Yeah, they were ready. They were like, okay, these guys are going to get in this boat, and we got to be ready for it. Why not just not have the boat there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why be prepared for them to get on the boat? If they don't have the boat, you don't have to do that. So, the Mohawks are stupid.
Yeah.
We've established that. I mean, they're very stupid just in general, but, like, they're dumb. And then, yeah, we get that boat scene. There's explosions, which the explosion was cool. Mm-hmm. And that's all I got for that scene.
The other part that I thought was dumb, and we said it as we were watching it, they hit a street sign because the water is so high that the street signs are water level. And it's your normal street sign, like Los Angeles, and they just fucking bust through it. And on a boat, not even like they're like kind of faces right here, boats like right here, and they just bust through that like it's paper.
Yeah.
And I know it's a movie that dumb things happen, but that was pretty fucking stupid.
It was so stupid. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's not, I don't even think a car could go through that. I think your car would be very messed up.
Yeah, that's why I emphasized they're that close to a boat and like their faces kind of hit it. A car would do more damage, but even then, yeah, like like dent through it, not just tear through it like it's paper.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a dumb scene. And then this great newscast, Channel 69, comes on. And that's my nomination for best scene in the movie. Anytime Channel 69 popped on.
That's fair.
And that's not saying a lot because there wasn't a lot happening during the scene. There was just a big 69 in the corner, and that's it.
Yep.
And then a next scene that I noted, there's this really weird scene. Bib Fortuna Jr. is being like force-fed spinach, and he's just farting a lot. And I was just like, what is happening right now? And I was like, why is she feeding him? Like, what?
I'm not defending him here because it's fucking stupid, but I think that was supposed to be torture to get him to talk. But yeah, there's better ways you could have done it than that.
Yeah, for sure. So poor Bib Fortuna Jr. is suffering from the spinach and farting a lot.
Yeah.
And that's, I have one more note.
Okay.
And this isn't even the whole movie because the end of the movie, I didn't even know what to put. It was all over the place. There's a showdown between the protagonist and antagonist, but it's just not good. But the last thing I have is, I don't know the girl's name, but the other blonde girl that was like, and we didn't even get into the cop subplot in this movie, which we don't even have to talk about because it's so bad.
Uh-huh.
But she's the daughter of one of the cops.
Yeah.
And the Lee brothers are with her, and she bends down and starts crawling in this tunnel. And both the Lee brothers are kind of staring at her ass. And then they just start trying to like get in front of each other to like go get her. And I was just, it was so bad. It was so terrible. But then like when they're in the tunnel, they end up in front of her.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was terrible. I can't say that I wouldn't do the same. But yeah, then these fools, they fight over it. They push each other to get in, and then once they're in the tunnel, they just both walk in front of her.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck. And it's like a better angle too, the way she's standing. I don't know what.
Right. I was like, what are you guys doing? Did you not just fight to get a better like spot? There is a scene that I also remember. That was you commented, I think. The music started playing. They were I think Jimmy Lee was sitting with the same girl that just looked at her ass, and the music's all slow and they're having some dialogue, and you were like, oh, there's a love scene coming, and they're about to kiss, and then the bad guys pop through.
Yeah, it's like the most generic 90s teen movie kiss where like the music's going, it's moving slowly, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Completely, like, it's bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I have. I don't know if you have some stuff about the end, because I didn't know what to put.
I just have one key point. Well, there's actually, we'll do two things here. So, the ending, it's pretty generic. They catch the main bad guy, Kogo. They trick him into thinking or they possess him, and then
that was a thing we didn't cover.
Yeah.
The bad guy like possesses people with I think it's the power of the double dragon medallion, and then he just takes them over and he just controls their body pretty much.
Yeah, so then he does that with one of the Lee brothers to make them fight each other, but then he gets out of the Lee brother stays in there long enough for the main cop to get there, and then to trick him to surrender his rights without him knowing, and then leaves the body. And then they arrest him. He's in jail. He makes some dumb comment about how they won't like what his lawyers see or something stupid.
Yeah.
And then, as you're calling him, Bit Fortuna Jr. comes over around the car and says, "What's up, chicken butt?" No, that's the fucking weirdest delivery of a joke I've ever heard. And I said chicken butt so often. I never thought it was clever. That's the point of it. It's so stupid. But now I feel uncomfortable even saying it. But I think I'm just going to have to try and wash this out of my mind and continue with my chicken butt. And then this guy that's been like the main fucking antagonist, even seems to be more so than Kogo, is like, you know what? I've had a change of heart. I think I'm good now. And they're like, the Lee brothers and that girl are like, you know what? I think so too. And they let him get in the car with them. And not only do they do that, they give him the keys to drive them. And then shockingly, he speeds off and appears to still be bad, and the movie ends.
Yeah.
And that was probably the best point when the movie ended.
Yeah, that was the best point when the movie ended. Bib Fortuna Jr., I like him for his cringiness. I think he won the movie for me. The rest of the characters are bad, even the Lee brothers. I think they could redo this movie, though, today and make it really good.
Really good, huh?
Yeah. I think you can make it good. I think you could do a really good job. Change how the script is. Like, what if you flipped this and made it a serious movie instead of the comedy that they were going for? That didn't work.
It didn't work. I don't know. I'd have to see a serious movie. It's hard to picture because I feel like even though it didn't work, like I said, I feel like that was the stuff that was close to working. That was kind of like a silly, fun movie. Those definitely went too far, obviously, with a lot of it. But I don't know. That's stuff that I thought had potential. So,
but I think like when you go to like a post-apocalyptic world, you can do a lot with it, and this didn't execute that well at all. I like obviously some of the actors are supposed to be big names, but I feel like today we could like recast this movie, get a good director, high budget, and it could be a good movie.
I gotcha.
Just thought it's a bad movie. Don't get me wrong, but
it was not even the biggest property at the time, but especially now. I know you're just throwing out hypotheticals, but there's like 0 to a 1 to 0% chance that'll happen because it wasn't already the biggest property at the time, and now it's
pretty much dead. Yeah. But I think like I think even at the time, if they could have got a bigger studio and switched up some casting, that it could have been halfway decent.
Not got 15 people to do the screenplay and story together.
Yeah.
All right, should we get into our rankings?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Double Dragon enters the fight against Mario.
Maybe swinging or maybe not.
Mario and Ninja Ryu, the Dragon Sword story. We're not going to be able to, going forward, we're not going to be able to list everyone's going up against because it's going to be an hour long. Be like, Mario, Sonic, but right now we got a few.
Right now. So later we'll probably just list them and say where we have the other movies, but right now we only have 3, and they are in a battle for number 1.
Do you want to go first? We can try and... Well, I'm sure we won't remember just like we did with Halo, but we can try and go back and forth on who goes.
Yeah, I will go first. So, this might shock you, but I have Double Dragon in last.
Oh, that does shock me.
Okay, so all these movies are terrible.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put them up against each other. But Double Dragon was like... just maybe worse than Mario. There's nothing... Like, I made jokes about Bib Fortuna Jr., and I thought he was funny. But not in a good way. He's kind of like the Goombas in Mario. Mm-hmm. Just that type of stupid character that's fun to laugh at. Double Dragon's just bad.
Yes.
Like, really bad.
No matter where I rank it, I agree.
And I think the acting in Mario is better, obviously, because it has better known actors. And I think, as a movie, it is better than Double Dragon. And then I still have Ninja Gaiden locking down first place.
Okay. So, before I get into my ranking, I want to add one thing I meant to say earlier in the episode. I mentioned Dink by Green Mind, a great song. We also had another great song to start the credits, All Together Now by The Farm. Fantastic song, the end of the movie. It sounds like I'm praising like this great movie. You already heard that I think this movie's terrible. So those are my few positives. This was hard for me to figure out where I was going to rank it because you're kind of arguing over like which is the better piece of shit between these 3. So it's like, no, this is my piece of shit. But this is what I think is going to be fun about this, where we differ. Especially these first 3 we'll watch together, which will be fun, especially for the audio tracks we do. Yeah. But it's also going to be fun when we're separate and have no idea what the other one thinks and be like, oh, I love that movie. What? That's a piece of shit. Because you can, like these movies, like I said, you're being a troll if you genuinely like them. There's some things that are just like subjectively or like objectively bad. Mm-hmm. You can be like, oh, I thought it was entertaining, but they're all objectively bad so far. Yep. But subjectively, I think there's a lot of movies that, like movies that aren't just total shit, movies that are average to good, I think people could hate them or love them because they're just
They're average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think those would be fun to see. I'm gonna say Double Dragon is my number one.
Oh!
Like I said, it's arguing piece of shit. So it's not like I have a hard stance against this. My reasons would be kind of what I talked about in the past couple. I think that this had a chance to. There are obviously a lot of things that need to happen, but I think it could have been like a fun early '90s action movie that's really cheesy and generic. I feel like it had a chance to be that. Mario, I feel like, had no chance of being anything. Ninja Gaiden had a chance, but they did everything they could to make the coolest person Ninja Gaiden about this much of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just not enough for me. So I think Double Dragon would be my number one.
Wow.
And then
Takes the crown.
Ninja, and then Mario.
Takes the crown for now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to last.
Mario's in the
Better
gutter.
not.
I mean, he's kind of a plumber, so. Woo, get Mario out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have Double Dragon last. We flipped.
Yeah. That's why I'm so excited to see this ranking, especially
So
with movies.
the only reason I have Ninja Gaiden first is because I actually did like the action.
I did like that, yeah.
So that's why it's first for me. That's the only, and it's not even like intent, like crazy action, but it was bloody and I don't know, it was cool. And it was just better than that. That stood out to me.
No, I hear you. That's fair because I did think that was cool. I think that's maybe what I was trying to explain, that I feel like that's what Ninja Gaiden should have been. So the fact that that was cool, but that was like the bare minimum of it, I feel like should drop it down, at least in my opinion. I'm not saying like you're wrong. Same for me. That's what it should have been all along. So the fact that it has a little bit of that is almost a letdown and not like a positive for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah. So that's my rankings. Anything else you want to say?
Just let us know your rankings in the comments.
Yeah, keep it going. Let us know where your movies are climbing or falling. Three so far.
Let us know about that Bib Fortuna Jr. thing, if he is swapped with Quan Ha's Halo, a better TV series.
And also let us know, like we talked about, we're trying to watch these movies in order of release dates, but let us know if there's anything we missed or any really obscure ones that you think we won't know of, or any movies that you guys are excited for us to watch. We'll hopefully eventually get to all of them, but there might be ones that we missed and don't know about, so let us know.
Yeah, and next is Street Fighter.
Yeah, it should be a few days from now. We'll have Street Fighter.
Woohoo!
I've never seen Street Fighter. I don't know.
I haven't either. I've never watched it. I know of the games. I've played a little bit. Not a ton. It was like when I was younger.
Yeah,
but
I feel like I've played so many Street Fighters, but I'm going to be honest, I don't like Street Fighter. My fighting games were Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Smash Bros. Street Fighter is just always boring to me. I feel like the more they feel like humans, the less entertaining they are to me, because it just feels like boxing or something.
Yeah.
Like, I loved all those games. Marvel vs. Capcom, fucking awesome game.
Marvel vs. Capcom is incredible.
I kind of just contradicted myself because half of that is Street Fighter. But
yeah.
I think when I played it, though, to be fair, I was always like, why the fuck did I pick him? I don't want this stupid guy.
Oh, I always used Spider-Man and Venom.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like almost always picking Marvel. The only time I picked Capcom characters were probably non-Street Fighter.
Mega Man.
Mega Man, and to mix them in with, because it was cool, the worlds colliding, which is kind of the point of that game.
Yeah.
Wasn't there 2 Street Fighter movies?
Possibly. I'm not 100% sure.
I feel like I know I didn't see the original Street Fighter movie. I feel like I've seen a newer fighter movie, but I guess we'll see. We'll watch it,
and it's interesting because we have Street Fighter, and then after that is Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, 2 Mortal Kombats in a row, unless there's one of those weird movies.
I think it is 2 Mortal Kombats in a row, which is kind of cool. Mortal Kombat's a big franchise, so that'll be fun to go over.
Yeah, and I love those movies when I was younger, but I feel like those are about as 90s as can be. So that's what's so fun about doing this, to see what holds it up. And I think that's also how we should rank them. We could tell them as we do our commentary about it, or not our commentary because we don't have audio tracks. Maybe we should for those. It would be fun. But, but our review rankings, whatever you want to call it, I think we should state like how good it was at the time if it doesn't hold up. But I think our rankings should be based off of presently watching it, not when it came out. If that makes sense.
I remember seeing Mortal Kombat when I was younger. I don't know how old I was. I was probably in my early teens actually when I watched it, and it wasn't awful, but I remember being like, "Oh, that's a bit outdated."
Yeah,
So
I know. Me and my brother, we thought it was the fucking coolest thing in the world. We bought all kind of merch and
yeah,
action figures. We were all in on it. But yeah, I can't imagine it'll hold up well. I think it'll be a fun movie, but probably real cheesy
yeah,
at
but
best.
who knows? Will it top Double Dragon?
It's hard to beat.
Yeah,
Wait, hey, Double Dragon, Double Mortal Kombat. We'll have to see if it actually. I know they are in a row, but I don't know what the more obscure things we're doing, like the
yeah, well,
straight to video and everything.
yeah,
There's also not a Street Fighter movie coming out besides the 1994 one, so I don't know what movie I'm thinking of. So that'll be interesting to see later on, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not even video game. Maybe I'm just going crazy. All
so
right.
yeah, if you guys want to watch Street Fighter, just to prepare for the next episode, that'd be great too.
All right. Anything else?
That's all I got.